Welcome to Welfare Clinic. Today we're going to talk about issues affecting many Muslim viewers of LB24.tv, and debate often take place in the community difference between HMC and HFA. And today we are going to hear from the representatives of the HFA and why people should be using HFA certified slaughter rather than anybody else. So let me welcome my guest to the studio. On my right is Saqib Mohammed, CEO of HFA. Saqib bhai, welcome to the show.
Thank you, it's my pleasure. Thank you.
Next to him is Mansur Ahmed, who is the Senior Auditor and Inspector of HFA. Mansur bhai, welcome to the show.
Thank you for inviting me.
As you had in my introduction, debate often take place among the Muslim and non-Muslim community about difference between HFA and HMC. And one of the concern often is that HFA slaughter animals in certain way than anybody else. How do you slaughter your animals that you supply to the community of this country?
Thank you for your question. The misconception is that HFA slaughter with machines or HFA slaughter with non-Muslim present and HFA slaughter without any sort of verbal tasmiyah being recited and all that. So HFA in trained slaughtermen trained by hand. They are slaughtering by hand. So there is no machine killing is involved, and all slaughtering is actually done by a Muslim with the manual with a knife in their hand, and they are fully trained by our senior inspector.
And it's done by Muslim people?
It's done by Muslim, and these Muslims are approved by Halal Food Authority well in advance of their starting work. So our senior inspector and auditor Mansur Ahmed has been training many of the slaughtermen in the past, and these people are actually all trained by our senior people. So all slaughtering is done by hand, and yes, there is pre-stunning involved, which does not kill any animal or bird, and that has been verified and tested in the past for many years.
That's the questions that often people ask in terms of pre-stunning of chicken, which is also supplied to a number of high street food outlets and retail outlet. And the question is, where it comes to the religion, especially for Muslim community, is that where it is a stand prior to slaughter, that is not acceptable in Islam. That's what many says.
Yes, many people do say that, but Quranic injunctions are that a bird or animal must be alive at the time of slaughter. This is a fundamental requirement, which is a prerequisite. And the second requirement is that Muslim should actually slaughter by doing Bismillah Allahu Akbar, by reciting Bismillah Allahu Akbar. And another requirement is that all blood must be drained out of the carcass. So all these three requirements are met by our policies and standards, and they are all validated, verified, and very closely monitored by our inspectors and auditors.
Mansur bhai, you are a senior auditor of HFA. When you're auditing, have you ever come across in terms of when you supply to outlets and stuff, have you ever had any complaint where people saying there is trace of pork or any other meat with those meat?
Not really. Basically, we are talking about the slaughtering method here. So the slaughtering method we accept is the stun to stun, which is just to immobilize the bird or animal, not only chicken, but also sheep and lamb. So when we actually go for an audit and check the current and the parameter of the stunner, we ensure that the bird is not dead due to the stunning. So also we have done the recovery test in Brazil, in Lithuania, in Poland. We took off the bird randomly off the line and put it on the floor, and then after a few seconds or even a minute, they recover. They start walking.
Some could argue.
Yeah.
You are employee of HFA.
Yes.
You're auditing the work of your employer.
Yes.
How do people can be absolutely sure you're not overlooking certain aspect?
We are not auditing our own establishment. We are the certifying body. We don't supply anything. We certify the companies who supply to the high street or the food industry. We are not involved in any kind of business. We are just here to monitor and certify the companies who claim to be halal. It's just to give the community a satisfaction that yes, we are having something authentic halal. There are many companies who are self-certified. They are declaring themselves halal, but they are not authentic. There are many certifying bodies in this country, more than 10 monitoring bodies, halal monitoring bodies, including HFA and HMC. These are the biggest two. That's why everybody knows these names. But who certify Nando's? Who certify high street HFC and PFCs?
Who does it then?
Nobody.
So where do they get their meat from?
They get from the distributor who says it is halal. Even if you go to this biggest meat sell point in East London, Shadwell, go to the biggest meat supplier, seller. Ask him, who supply you this chicken? Are they halal? Yes, supplier told me it is halal. It's written on the label with Arabic word halal. So we believe in it.
I've visited a number of retail outlets. Either they will have a certificate from HFA or HMC, but some retail outlets wouldn't have any certificates to verify where they're getting their meat from. And I think you raised interesting aspect about some of the businesses,
yes.
Because I think that will be seriously concerning for many of our viewers in regards to where there is the authenticity in terms of verifying whether the meat is genuinely halal or haram. And I think for Muslims is the fundamental aspect of their conscience.
Yes, and Brother Mansur have raised very valid point, and just point to be noted here is that HFA does not actually certify meat shops and takeaways and restaurants. We only work with one high street catering establishment which is called KFC. We certify 100 stores across the UK. So wherever you find our certificate in any shop which is clear misinformation, misleading, they're misleading the community for no reason, just for their financial benefit. So if you find HFA certificate displayed, it worth verification. We don't certify, we don't authorize that certificate display on.
So you only certify one high street company.
And we certify portioning plants, we certify slaughterhouses. And what they do is, what the shopkeepers or what the traders might do is, they obtain 1 or 2 pallets from our approved sources, get the certificate copy, and then they just supply under the same certificate whatever they want to supply, which is unfortunate.
But obviously that is then a kind of reputation issue for HFA. Yeah. Isn't there any action HFA can take to mitigate that circumstances?
Wherever we find, our duty is to report the incident to trading standards, and that's what we do. I personally have been involved in many investigations, and I have been actually asked to act as a witness, and I have been serving as a witness statement as well for the prosecutions in the High Court as well. But I mean, trading standards cannot actually prosecute each and every case. But what we are trying to say is that we Muslim, we talk about halal, but we don't actually put right considerations on our lifestyle. We only talk about halal meat and halal food. What about our considerations? What about finances and investments and business income? So is it halal then? We are actually misleading the community. We actually misinform the community by saying, yo, this is the certificate we have got from HFA and this is what we are buying. But even if you find 1 or 2 products of HFA real certified with full traceability, I'll be surprised.
I think you raised I want to come to you, Mansur.
I'd like to raise one more valid point. The irony is all these misleading job has been done by Muslim traders, unfortunate.
Very, very sad.
Very unfortunate, because when you go to buy halal meat, you go to a Muslim halal butcher and you say, "Buy it is halal?" Yes. Okay, give me 5 baby chicken.
Baby chicken
Give
or
me
portion,
broiler. Give
kg
me
of lamb
half of the lamb. But nobody bothered to ask where this chicken and lamb is coming from. I have a practical experience in my area.
You would know, yeah, because you work in the field.
I've caught them red-handed. They are selling HMC chicken, okay, HFA chicken, non-HFA chicken, everything mixed, because the distributor says it is halal. They said, okay, it is halal because it is cheaper. Always trader wants to make profit. They
Yes.
look for cheaper options. Okay, I went there. I said, okay, can I have halal chicken, please? He said, which halal do you want, HMC or HFA? I said, what do you mean? He said, we have HFA and HMC, both. I said, okay. I found a box of chicken from a slaughterhouse which we already delisted because of some issues.
So how did they manage to get that box of chicken? For a third party?
From distributor. The distributor is selling this chicken as halal. And Muslim consumer, they normally go to, they don't go to the non-Muslim butchers anyway.
No, very rare.
They always go to Muslim butchers.
But nowadays, some of the supermarkets has section of halal.
Yes.
And they use different
Asda, Morrison, and Sainsbury's. Everybody has halal labeled chicken, lamb, and beef.
Yes.
But the
are they genuinely halal?
Not all. Not all.
So because I think it's a very sensitive but very important issues for the viewers, and I think Saqib Bhai raised a very valid point. You know, we go to check whether chicken or the restaurant we go to, is it halal, is it halal? If it's not halal, we're not going to eat. But then everything else that we do in our life, is it also halal or not? You know, being a Muslim is not just about praying 5 times and fasting during month of Ramadan and that's it. It's everything you do in your life.
When halal comes, we only think about meat. Exactly. We don't think about the cereal. We don't think about the
some
sweets.
People do.
No,
but let me give an example.
Majority don't. Some people, I have seen that they will go
raise the question about stunning and unstunning. Yeah. Those who said it is HFA, I don't want to eat any HFA certified chicken, or I don't want to eat in KFC because it is HFA certified. It's not HFA.
But you guys don't certify any.
We do certify KFC.
One of them, yeah.
But the problem is when they eat cereal, you will find our logo in there. They don't bother. Okay. Yeah. When they eat sweet, Mars sweet, tangerine, or many other sweets, they don't bother. Haribo from Turkey.
When they had bread, Allied Bakeries, King's Mill
Allied Bakeries, okay. There are meat is not only our food item.
Yeah, no, I've seen you guys do supplies to bakery and other supplies.
No, just a simple, very simple. That's not a rocket science. Our daily intake should be 2,000 calories. It's a fact. Everybody knows that. Adult guideline daily amount is 2,000 calories. Okay. Out of that 2,000, how much?
Sometimes we would lot more than 2,000, don't we? Especially if we haven't biryanis and upset the
viewers here. Okay. Let's say, okay, we stick to the guideline, we just consume 2,000. Out of 2,000, how much is meat? 400-500 maximum? One dinner, that's it. But rest of the day, all the time we eat something which is not meat.
Snacks. Yeah.
So we don't actually look into that 1,500 calories that we are consuming. What is that? Is it halal?
Also, do you supply to a lot of non-Muslim outlets? How do you work with them?
What happens is halal is all about the way it is produced. If you're talking about meat, then slaughtering criteria applies. If you talk about food processing, it is segregation and contamination issues, food safety, environmental health and hygiene issues are there. That makes food halal and tayyib. So once the food has all the characteristics of hygiene, safety, and if it is a meat product, then if the slaughtering is fine, then halal status can be established and the product is halal. After that, if it is sold to non-Muslim, if it is served by non-Muslim, or it is being carried over or driven by non-Muslim in a lorry, it doesn't matter. The Sharia is very clear that halal preparation should have all these aspects that I've just mentioned about safety, environment, health, food safety and everything. and hygiene is very important.
Saqib, could there be possibility when in the transition between your slaughterhouse or your approved slaughterhouse to a distributor,
Yes.
things could go wrong? There could be somebody could be handling pork and at the same time handling the meat that has been slaughtered according to Islam. Could there in
transportation.
transportation
Yes.
could something go wrong there? Is that possible?
Yes, it is possible, but what we believe is the supply chain should be certified in full. For example, the meat should be coming out of the slaughterhouse to go to portioning plant in a dedicated lorry, dedicated fleet, and the portioning plant to retailer or distributor should be in a dedicated fleet. Our standard, our criteria is that all meat products must be fully boxed and sealed, right? And they have to be put in a separate place, separate corner in the lorry. And our standard is that in that lorry there should not be any pork item. So if it may contain non-halal chicken or beef or lamb, but it must not have any pork sign item or box in that lorry. So this is our standard. If we are to certify the transportation, this is our prerequisite. So in this way, we can eliminate contamination chances.
Also, in terms of qurbanis, during obviously when the Muslims have to sacrifice animals, when the orders is placed at the local shop, how does that work with the HFA?
HFA has not been involved in particular Qurbani sacrifice. In the past, we have attended and supervised some slaughterhouses. I personally myself have actually supervised Qurbani sacrifice slaughtering 3-4 years back, but these days HFA does not take part into any.
Does anybody else does it?
I'm not sure. Are you aware of that?
No.
I think certification bodies. Let me just tell you. What happened was last.
So because these are very important issue for our viewers.
Here's the point. Certification bodies are kept away with that.
Yeah. Because the thing is, the main responsibility is lied on the consumer. When they place the order, the consumer wants the meat.
Okay, so I walk into my local butcher shop, which is run by say a Muslim person, and I say I want to do, during the Qurbani time, I want to slaughter 4 sheep, in 4 different names, and I say, where is it coming from? They will say HMC or HFA or whoever, and because obviously often in the community we know a lot of people. We believe them to be honest and honorable people, and not to especially mislead their consumers in this aspect at least, because this is something they're consuming, they're eating, and it's going into their bodies, getting inside their children, their family, their elderlies. Everybody's literally affected. The whole ummah, as we would say in the Muslim community, is affected. So if you guys are sitting here telling me and my viewers that you guys don't, then I think it's a serious concern in the community.
It is serious concern.
And a lot of people probably don't know about it.
Yes.
A lot of people don't know because they rely on the shopkeeper. That's the problem. They rely on the shopkeeper. They don't know when their animal is being slaughtered, whether it is before Salatul Eid or after Salatul Eid. Before Salatul Eid, if it is slaughtered, it's not accepted as a Qurbani.
It's not acceptable.
It has to be after Salatul Eid.
So you guys don't inspect the Qurbanis?
No.
You guys are not aware of anybody else that goes and
that particularly inspect Qurbanis, yes. Because what happens is if they
so it could be machine doing it.
No.
Qurbani, lamb and sheep cannot be done by machine.
Also, it's done by physically.
Machine slaughter is only applicable in chicken slaughter.
Okay, so the sheep and lamb is done by physically, but nobody is inspecting whether it's done
before Salatul Eid or after
Salatul Eid.
That's the biggest concern here. That's the biggest concern here.
So it could have been done night before.
Yes, and that is very common.
Look, again, let me make it clear. Our approved slaughterhouses.
You are an inspector, so in your experience, what would you tell our viewers in regards to that?
From my experience, the viewers or consumers must ensure that their sheep or lamb or beef is slaughtered after the first.
Can they go to slaughterhouse?
They can, but they can't go to the slaughtering station because of the rules and regulation.
So they still wouldn't know.
They wouldn't know
Whether that was slaughtered before or after the salah.
Even the butcher who takes the order, he cannot go to the slaughtering station either.
So you're just taking the word for it.
He has to take the word for it.
But this is one painful experience that I can also share. When I inspected one slaughterhouse, the slaughterhouse said to me that we will start slaughtering at 3 o'clock in the morning before the Eid day. I said, no, it cannot happen, and because you are under our certification, we will not let it happen. So we will come at 3 o'clock to inspect whether you have started slaughtering or not. So I arrived at 3 o'clock in the morning at the slaughterhouse, and I did 4-hour shift. So at 7 o'clock, my other colleague came, and then he took over from that point. And my job was to ensure that slaughtering does not start until the first prayer. Until 7, I was taking care of that. And then people were just shouting at me. They started queuing up. At about 3 o'clock.
Consumers.
Muslim consumers.
Our own Muslim brothers. Then the slaughterhouse owner said, Saqib, the queue is that long, and then they are waiting for their meats. They need to go.
But don't they understand the importance of
and then
doing it after?
Then I had to address to them, please, come on, I have to wait. It is not other. If you are buying your normal meat, please do. But if you are talking about particular qurbani sacrifice, then this will not be acceptable.
These are not consumers, by the way. They are the distributors. They took the order to supply within certain period of time. That's why they were pushing the slaughterhouse people that please do it quickly so that we can deliver it on time.
They had lorries parked outside and they were just dumping it, and so this is very painful reality.
And the slaughterhouses, one thing I would like to share: these slaughterhouses, they don't accept any personal qurbani on the day of Eid. The day of Eid is reserved for the distributors, the butchers, the suppliers. If you contact any slaughterhouses, I want to do a qurbani on Eid day, you say, sorry, we don't have any slot. That day is dedicated for the supplier, for the distributor, for the butchers. If you want to buy one, they wouldn't bother. I have ordered hundreds of lambs.
We are coming to the end of the show, and I think this show, I'm sure I want to do another show on this, because I think there's many other things that our viewers, I think, need to know.
It's a comprehensive matter.
In terms of how they're consuming or buying their meat, and from who, and what kind of certify do those individual retail outlet have to supply the meat. And I think that's going to be a big debate now, even in the community. And I think many things that you brothers have mentioned here that I didn't know about, or many of our viewers didn't know about. So in just 1 minute, Saqib, do you want to say something to our viewers about HFA, the way HFA works, and what sort of thing they should follow when they're buying or going to consume their shopping meat, chicken?
Our appeal to the community is just to please play your role in the supply chain as well. Play your role in your due diligence. Please try and verify the supply chain. Please try and ask questions to the person who is supplying you, whether what they have done to find out whether that was halal. Just taking word of mouth is not enough, because there is not so much fraud going on in the marketplace. Please beware. And in terms of stunning, please rest assured that HFA does not accept any stunning that kills the animal. Our approved stunning have got approved parameters that we always regularly check. Our inspectors and supervisors are always there to make sure that the birds and animals are not dying. So we do not accept stunning. Our approved stunning does not kill the animal or bird. So please educate yourself more on that. And inshallah, may Allah give us all hidayah to consume halal food.
Mansur, you're a senior auditor. You audit, you inspect. In terms of consumers, when they go in and visiting their local butcher or retail or supermarket, what sort of things should they be looking out for?
Well, I would like to tell my viewers that they should look out for the authentic certifying body. There are many certifying body who has only one person who has been certifying many slaughterhouses without being present in the slaughterhouse itself. He never observed the slaughtering procedure, but he has been issuing the certificate on the basis of the slaughterman's statement. But there are, I would say, authentic monitoring bodies in this country who are actually, you can say, HFA and HMC is on the top list. They should at least ask the distributor or the butcher who is the supplier of your meat and chicken and who certify them. Can you show me some evidence, please? Can you show me some traceability document? I'm sure none of them, I mean few of them will be unable to show the traceability document. They themselves don't know who where this chicken coming from. That's the problem.
Mansur Bhai, Saqib Bhai, thank you very much for sharing your knowledge and thoughts with us today. I'm sure, no doubt, we will have you again talking about this such important issue. Dear viewers, you heard it. HFA, HMC, or anybody else, you need to do your own inspection. You need to ask your own questions to make sure the meat you taking home, it is genuinely halal. End of the day, it is your responsibility to verify what you are buying and what you are feeding your children and your family. Thank you for watching Welfare Clinic. Until next time, do take care.